another firm for final matters. He thanked me and released me. My throat burned. He didn't tell me, I said. He didn't tell me either, he said, and the line clicked off, like he could not bear the rest. My feet carried me down the hall to Sana's room. I did not remember deciding to go. I only knew I could not stand alone with those pages. Her door was open. She sat at her vanity, painting her nails a pale pink, like a girl on a normal night. The necklace our father gave her for graduating medical school lay on the table. She looked up and smiled like I was there to borrow lotion. "You look tired," she said, soft and kind. "Do you want tea?" I held up the folder. "When did you take the key?" I asked. My voice was not kind. She blinked. "What key?" The curve of her mouth stayed gentle. "To the safe," I said. "Don't play with me." She set the brush down and folded her hands, like someone in a courtroom. "Dad changed a few things last week," she said. "He was worried about you." "About your choices?" Her eyes were warm, but there was a thin wall behind them. "He asked me to help." "My choices?" I almost laughed. "What choices?" She lifted a shoulder. "You talked about selling the Eastland to pay your credit cards. Ryan told me. Dad hated that idea." Her words landed like a slap. My chest went cold. I looked over my shoulder into the hall. "Ryan told you that?" I asked. "He was worried," she said, sweet like syrup. "We all are." A knock came on the doorframe. Ryan stood there with his hands in his pockets. He gave me a careful look, then a smile meant to calm. "Hey," he said. "Let's not do this at midnight." He took 2 steps in and, without thinking, rested his fingers on the back of Sana's chair. It was a small touch. It felt like a flag. "I told her because you won't tell Mom," he said. "I wanted someone to help you." I held the amendment up between us. "Did you help with this too?" I asked. His smile stiffened. "I don't know what that is," he said. Sana reached for the pages with a delicate hand. "Dad was clear," she said, turning them like a doctor reading a chart. "He wanted stability." She tapped the signature. "He signed in front of a notary." "Everything is lawful. That is not his signature," I said. My voice cracked. I put the paper down and pulled out my phone. I opened a photo I had of his first will from spring. The letters were uneven. The new one looked like it came from a book. His hand shook. Everyone knows. Sana leaned forward, one brow lifting in pity. "Grief is a strange lens," she said. "It makes good daughters see ghosts." Footsteps came from the stairs. My Aunt Nasreen stepped in, her perfume a cloud before her. A man I didn't know followed her. Sleek suit, thin glasses, a leather folder under his arm. "You must be the advocate," my aunt said, laying a hand on my shoulder like she owned it. "We were just talking about you." The man smiled with half his mouth. "I'm Cameron Hardy," he said. "My condolences. Your father wanted his house protected. I'm here to make sure it is." I looked at my aunt. Her eyes were soft but sharp. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" I asked. She tilted her head. "Because you panic," she said. "And because you're not practical." She said it like the weather. Rayan reached for my hand. I pulled it away. "Sana," I said, "put the key back. We will call Mr. Ghani in the morning and set this straight." Sana stood slow and calm. She picked up the necklace and fastened it around her throat while watching me in the mirror. "There is nothing to set straight," she said. "Dad made a choice. I will take care of things, the way he asked." She looked at me over her shoulder. I'll even make sure you're comfortable for a while. I felt heat rise in my face. Comfortable? I said. With my own house? With my own name? She sighed like I was a child refusing medicine. This house cannot be chopped to pieces to pay your mistakes, she said. You know how you get. You buy first and think later. I'm not being cruel. I'm protecting what Dad built. My phone buzzed in my palm. I glanced down. A bank alert. Account access limited. Executor hold in place. Contact estate representative. I looked up at Sana. She had her phone in her hand too, and she was not pretending anymore. It's standard, she said. Only until the paperwork is complete. I stepped forward. You forged him, I said, my voice low. You found a lawyer who would stamp anything. You went into his safe before he was even cold. The room flinched. Hattie's smile faded. Careful, he said. His tone stayed polite. That is a serious claim. You could be sued. My aunt pressed my arm. Don't make this ugly, child. Rain came closer, palms up. Let's cool down, he said. We can talk terms. Maybe Sana can... I cut him off. Maybe you can stop talking, I said. You opened your mouth about my debts. You don't get to mediate the mess you made. He winced. I told her because I love you, he said. And even he sounded like he did not. Buy it. Sana walked to her dresser and pulled out a white envelope. She handed it to me like a gift. Inside was a certified copy of a deed transfer. It had another blue stamp. Recorded at 10:02 p.m., she said. I didn't want to tell you like this, but your temper leaves no choice. She touched my wrist. You will not be put out on the street. I'm not a monster. I stared at the blue stamp until the numbers burned. My heart beat hard enough to hurt. You always like being the hero, I said. Even when you're the one who set the fire. Sana's smile finally changed. The kindness slipped a little. Something mean and bright shone through. Heroes win, she said. That is the point. I folded the deed and slid it into my pocket. My hands had stopped shaking. The room waited for me to cry, or yell, or beg. I did none of that. I looked at Rayan, who could not meet my eyes. I looked at my aunt, who already thought of which neighbours to call. Then I looked at my sister, who had taken my tomorrow and dressed it in pink. You can keep the past, I said. My voice was steady. Keep the house, the keys, the stamps, all of it. I stepped close enough to see the tiny chip in her nail polish. But listen to me, Sana. I will not fight you for yesterday. I will take what comes next. She laughed once, soft and sure. And how will you do that? She asked. I leaned in until my words were for her alone. The way you did this, I said. Quietly, completely. And when it hits you, you won't even see me coming. Her smile froze for the first time. The room held its breath. I turned to leave. Behind me, her voice followed like a thread pulled tight. Leave the keys, she said. The house is mine now. I set my key on the dresser without looking back. Good, I said from the doorway. Because I'm coming for something bigger. The morning looked sweet, like nothing bad could touch it. Sunlight slid across the kitchen tiles. My mother hummed while stirring tea. Sana stood by the stove in a soft dress, flipping paratas like she had always done it. Even the air smelled kind, warm with butter and cardamom. But my stomach stayed tight. Her smile was bright and calm, and it made the room feel wrong. It was the same smile she wore last night, while she took my future. I pulled out a chair and sat. My hands wouldn't stop moving. I lined the spoons, then unlined them. then took a deep breath that did not help. Ryan walked in with a paper bag and fake charm. "Fresh samosas," he said, like that would fix a stolen will. He set them down and touched my shoulder for a second, careful and light. "Eat," he added, like I needed his permission to swallow. Sana slid a plate in front of me and tucked hair behind her ear. "You should keep your strength," she said. Her voice was soft, caring, almost sweet. The look in her eyes was not. I watched the gold chain at her throat, the one our father gave her. It caught the light. Her smile did not move. "The lawyer will come after breakfast," she said. "We should be ready." I nodded, then reached for my phone when it buzzed. A message from Umar, my father's driver. "Madame, the hospital called last night for records. I told them Sir was asleep from 5 p.m. Nurse said he did not wake." My fingers tightened around the phone. If my father had not woken since 5, then who signed the papers at 10? I looked up. Sana was watching me like a cat watches a door. I stood and tried to make my voice soft. "Mom, can you rest?" I asked. "I'll bring tea upstairs." She smiled at me, tired and trusting, and left with small steps. As soon as she was out of sight, I walked down the hall to the study. Sana called, "Don't wonder, we're eating," in a gentle tone that was not a suggestion. I didn't answer. The study still smelled like him. I shut the door and went to the desk. The drawers did not hold much. Pens, an old watch, newspaper clippings. On the floor by the chair, the trash can held balled paper. I dumped it out and smoothed the sheets. They were covered in his name over and over in pencil. Tariq Rahim, Tariq Rahim, Tariq. Some neat, some shaky, one traced hard enough to tear the page. My chest went hot. I found a thin sheet of tracing paper with the same loops outlined in the faint grey. Beneath it, a receipt from City Print and Copy, timestamped 7:32 p.m. The door opened without a knock. Ryan leaned on the frame, hands in pockets. "You're making this worse," he said quiet. He eyed the papers in my hand and tried a small close smile. "Let me help you find a way to live with this. There's room for you in all this, if you stop swinging." I held up the tracing paper. "Tell me you didn't see this," I said. "Tell me you didn't watch her practice our father's name like it was homework." His face twitched. He took a breath, then let it go slow. "He wanted stability," he said. "You know you spend without thinking. We had to move fast while the..." He stopped. "While the what?" I stepped closer. He looked away. "While the doctor was on his way," he muttered. The words fell out and lay between us like a broken glass. I swallowed the sharpness in my throat and slipped the receipt into my pocket. We were halfway back to the kitchen when Advocate Hardy arrived with my aunt. He set his leather folder on the dining table like a centerpiece. "Good morning," he said, smooth as warm oil. "I know this is hard. Our goal is to reduce stress. Simple signatures, a clean transfer, and you all can grieve in peace." He smiled at me without warmth. My aunt rubbed my back like I was 5. "No more drama," she whispered, a warning disguised as comfort. I pulled out a chair. "Simple signatures," I repeated. "Then you won't mind a simple call." I dialed the number on the stamp at the bottom of the deed and pressed speaker. The phone rang and rang. Then a man answered, bored. "Office of Notary Malik." "Hello," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Did you meet my father, Tariq Rahim, last night?" "For a deed at 10:02 p.m. Papers rustled on the other end. "We don't do in person after 8, he said. We received a scanned file through Advocate Hattie's portal. Remote approvals are common for health cases. He yawned. All lawful. He hung up. I looked at Hattie. He buttoned his cuff and gave a small nod, like I had helped him. As I said, he murmured, lawful. My jaw clenched. Remote approval needs consent, I said. My father was not awake after 5. He was not speaking. He was not signing. He was not choosing you. Sana poured tea into cups, smooth and slow. He chose earlier, she said. He told me he didn't trust your impulses. He worried you'd sell the land to pay your cards. He told me to protect Mum. Her tone was soft, but something cold sat inside it. You love fast and break easy, she added. You always have. I took out the tracing, paper, and laid it on the table next to the deed copy. The pencil loops matched the smooth blue signature like a mirror. I held up the print shop receipt. This is from last night, I said. You practiced, and then you pushed it through. You wrote his name while he could not speak. My voice shook with anger, not fear. My aunt clicked her tongue and reached across to take the evidence, but I pulled it back. Hadi folded his hands. Grief can twist memory, he said, calm and slow. Your father gave clear instructions. He signed before. Remote approvals simply attached that intent to the record. His gaze was steady, like he was reading a prepared line. Let's proceed. Or, we can involve a court. That will be expensive for you. Sana's smile did not flicker. She slid a small white envelope across the table. You don't need to fight, she said. Inside was a check, a short-term allowance. The number made my face burn. I'm not a stray you feed, I said. I'm his daughter. Ryan stepped between, us like a shield. Please, he said to me, be smart. Give yourself time. Sana can keep things safe. You can start over without pressure. We can all stay family. He reached for my wrist. I pulled back and stared at his hand, then at hers. The way her fingers rested on the table edge, calm and ready. The way his eyes kept jumping to her for a cue. I stood up, walked out, and went to her room. I didn't knock. I opened drawers fast, heart pounding hard enough to make my vision fuzzy. The top drawer held a velvet pouch. Inside was our grandmother's ring, mine by tradition, promised to me since I was 14. I put it on my palm and felt my anger rise like heat from the stove. Beneath it lay a folded paper. I opened it and stopped breathing. It was a contract to sell the East Land to a developer. The closing date was in 2 weeks. The signature line for executor was filled. The buyer's deposit was already received. I came back to the dining room and dropped the contract on the table. You said you wouldn't chop the house to pay my mistakes, I said. But you're selling the land to pay for yours. Sana didn't flinch. To secure Mom's care and protect the house, she said. Not everything is about you. I turned to Ryan. Did you know? I asked. He rubbed the back of his neck and glanced at Hadi. It's a good price, he said. It makes sense. His voice had the shiver of guilt he tried to hide. I placed the ring next to the contract. This was meant for me, I said. And you kept it in your drawer like a souvenir. Sana's eyes dropped to the ring, then came back up with cool light. It looks better on me, she said. And it will look perfect next month. My throat went dry. Next month? I asked. She didn't blink. She threaded her fingers with Ryan's hand, slow, like showing me a trick. We're getting married, she said. Her smile did not reach her eyes. You can sit with the cousins. If you behave, the world tilted for a second and then stood straight again. My mother's soft steps sounded on the stairs, but I did not turn. Had he cleared his throat like this was now a simple list of tasks? My aunt watched me with a look that said, "Don't make a scene." Ryan squeezed Sana's hand. He did not look at me. I leaned over the table, close enough to see the faint crack in Sana's lip gloss. "Congratulations," I said. My voice was calm. But I'm not the one who needs to behave. I picked up my phone and opened my recorder. I had saved a voicemail from last night, the one I almost deleted. I pressed play. Sana's voice filled the kitchen, clipped and careful. "File it now," she said in the recording. "He's asleep, but we have the tracing. Use the clean version. I'll handle." My sister Hardy went still. Ryan's face drained. My aunt said my name, like a prayer and a warning. Sana's smile stayed, but it was tight now, like a rope pulled too hard. "You recorded me?" she asked, calm on top, metal underneath. I locked my screen and slid the phone into my pocket. "No," I said. "You recorded yourself." I nodded at the security camera tucked high on the kitchen shelf, the one she never notices because she thinks she notices everything. "It backs up to the cloud." Silence hit the room like a door slamming. Sana's smile finally fell away. For a heartbeat, her eyes looked like the truth, sharp, afraid, and angry. Then she lifted her chin. "Call whoever you want," she said, voice low. "By the time they come, the land will be gone, and so will you." I picked up the ring and closed my hand around it. "No," I said. "By the time they come, your smile won't save you." The house looked gentle that morning, like a soft lie. Sunlight fell across the hallway photos. The kettle clicked off by itself. My mother's radio played a slow song. For a moment, it felt almost normal. Then the bell rang. A courier stood at the door with a thin envelope and a practiced smile. I signed, shut the door, and felt a cold line run down my back before I even opened it. Inside was a single page with a heavy stamp. "Notice of renunciation," it said in bold letters. Beneath it, my name was typed, and then signed in blue. My breath caught. The signature tried to look like mine, but my loop on the R slanted left, not right. The date was last night. The time was 9:56 p.m. I touched the ink. It was clean and flat. No pressure marks. No smudge. It felt like a paper that tried to erase me. I called the number on the bottom of the page. A woman answered, bored and bright at the same time. "Probate desk?" she said. I told her my name and read the notice. She said, "We received a signed PDF from your email. The form said you withdraw any claim to your father's estate. We filed it under emergency process." My mouth went dry. "I didn't sign anything," I said. She made a small sound like a shrug. "Then someone did it for you." I checked my email. In spam there was a "thank you for signing" message from some service. It had a proof number, a time, and an IP address string that looked like a broken math problem. I scrolled, hands shaking. At the bottom, it said "sign your location," with the name of Sana's Clinic Street. I took a screenshot and sent it to myself in case the message vanished like a bad trick. I walked to the kitchen with the notice in my hand. Sana stood there in a crisp blouse, hair neat, smile small and careful. She was cutting fruit for Mom like she had all the time in the world. "You're up early," she said. Her voice was soft, like a hand over a flame. "Do you want tea?" I held up the notice. "You filed this," I said. No hello, no mask. She glanced at the page, then at me, then back at the apple. "You always rush to conclusions," she said. "Sit, eat. We have a busy day." She put slices on a plate, and pushed it toward me like I was a child and she was patient. Rayan came in with his keys in hand, and that same safe smile he wore when lying. "Morning," he said, like the house had not become a court. He looked at the notice and tried to keep his face blank. "Let me see," he said, reaching for it. I pulled it back. My chest felt tight. "There's an IP location on the email," I said. "It shows your street, Sana." She didn't blink. "Clinics have shared networks," she said. "Anyone could use it." She cleaned the knife and set it down. "You sign things you don't read all the time. Terms, pop-ups, free trials. Maybe you did this and forgot." Her tone was sweet and cold at once. I took a breath that hurt. "I was with Dad at 5. He didn't wake up again," I said. "At 10, this notary stamp claims he approved changes. Now, a renunciation with my name? It's all tidy, isn't it?" My voice shook. I hated that it shook. My Aunt Nasreen entered with her purse and a plan. "Let's not start the day with noise," she said, smiling at Mom, who shuffled in and sat small and absent. "We will follow the process. Your sister is guiding us. Don't fight people who are trying to help." She squeezed my shoulder like she was kind. It felt like a clamp. Advocate Hadi arrived as if he had never left. Clean suit, clean words. He set his folder down and gave me a gentle nod, the kind people use on storms. "This is painful," he said, "but your father's wishes are clear. Freezing accounts, setting a guardian for the property, arranging care for your mother. These are not attacks. These are steps." I laid the notice on the table and set my phone beside it with the email open. "And this step?" I asked. "You sent it from Sana's clinic with my name." Hadi glanced once and said, "Emergency probate allows for rapid filings when an estate is at risk. Renunciation eases transfer and prevents disputes. You have debts. You spoke about selling land. The estate is safer this way." He spoke like reading a label. I pulled out another paper. It was a receipt from City Print and Copy at 7:32 p.m. last night. I'd gone there early, hoping for luck, and found the clerk who remembered the doctor with the nice ring and the quiet man with the folder. He printed a duplicate receipt with the time and register stamp. "You were there," I said to Sana. "Practicing signatures like a school assignment." Sana's smile thinned, then widened again like she had caught the edge. "I went to print medical forms," she said. "You don't own paper, and you don't own grief." Her eyes were bright, full, and empty at the same time. She pushed the apple plate closer. "Eat," she said softly. "You shake when you're hungry." My mother touched my wrist. "Be gentle," she whispered, voice breaking on the second word. "Your sister is doing her best." I looked at her tired eyes and felt something in me split. Sana leaned in like a nurse and tucked a stray hair behind Mom's ear. "Don't worry," she told her. "I'll keep the house steady." I straightened and took the notice again. "You erased me," I said. "With one page." My throat burned. "But you can't erase the law. Fake signatures, expired stamps, network logs, all of it can be checked." I looked at Hadi. "And you helped?" He didn't flinch. "Courts like stability," he said. "Juries like order. You look messy now, angry, unreliable. If we go there, you will pay for years. Or," he opened his folder and slid out a typed sheet. "You can sign a settlement. A monthly stipend. No court, no noise. Peace for everyone." He tilted his head. "Be practical." Rayan put his hand on the back of my chair like he owned the wood under my spine. "He's right," he said in a low voice. "Don't blow up your life out of pride. Take the deal. Start fresh. You can still have other things. His eyes moved quick, away from me, and back, again. I stood. What other things? I asked, hearing the rough edge in my voice. He opened his mouth and closed it. Sana saved him. We are engaged, she said softly, finally putting it on the table like a knife. He told you we were done. You did not listen. You hold on to what does not want you. It is time to grow up. Her smile was kind and cruel at once. My hands curled. I forced them open and turned to the cupboard above the fridge. A black camera lens looked back at me from the corner. The old security camera my father installed after the break-in years ago. It backed up to the cloud whenever motion started. I opened the app on my phone and scrolled to last night. There I was in grainy color, leaving the kitchen at 9:20. There was Sana at 9:40, speaking into her phone at the table. There was Hadi's folder at 9:50. I hit play. Sana's voice filled the room, small but clear. Use my email. She won't check. Send it as her. I'll keep her busy. Hadi went very still. Ryan swore under, his breath. My aunt crossed herself and whispered something that sounded like a plea. Sana did not look at the screen. She looked at me, then at my mother, then back at me. You think this will save you, she said calm. You think this is a game of gotcha. It isn't. There was a hard knock at the door. 2 men in plain clothes stood there with a woman holding a clipboard. Miss. Rahim? The woman asked, eyes on me. We have a temporary protection order and an emergency occupancy order issued this morning. You're required to vacate the property for 72 hours pending a hearing. She handed me a new envelope. My name sat under respondent. Under petitioner was Sana's name. My mother gasped and gripped the table. No, she whispered. No, she lives here. Sana rushed to hold her hand, soft and efficient. It's only for calm, she said to Mum. Just a few days so we can arrange things. She can go to Auntie's. It's safer. She looked at me over Mum's shoulder, and her smile was almost gentle. We all need space. I opened the order. It said I had made threatening statements and attempted to access funds. It used words that felt like stains I couldn't scrub off. My chest rose and fell too fast. I looked up at the woman with the clipboard. You're throwing me out of my father's house, I said, my voice flat, steady, dangerous, even to my own ears. We enforce court orders, she said. You can contest at the hearing. Sana stood, still holding Mum's hand, and faced me like we were 2 actors hitting marks. Take the stipend, she said softly. Leave with dignity. Don't make Mum watch you fall apart. I slid my phone, the receipt, and the notice into my bag. I took my coat from the chair and held it for a second in both hands until they stopped shaking. Then I walked to the mantel and picked up my father's old watch. It had a small crack in the glass from the day I dropped it when I was 13. He never fixed it, because he said the crack told a story. I closed my fingers around it and turned back to them. You erased my name with paper, I said quietly. I'll write it back with fire. Ryan took a step toward me. What does that mean? He asked. I opened the door. The officers waited. The air outside felt sharp and bright. It means, I said, looking at Sana, by the time I come back, this house will call me by my full name again. I paused, then added the last line like a stone thrown through glass. And when I'm done, you'll sign a paper that erases yours. The courthouse looked safe from the outside, like a school with glass doors. Inside, the air smelled like bleach and paper. A clerk stapled forms in neat stacks. A security guard nodded at me. For a brief second, I thought maybe someone would listen. Maybe truth would be enough. Then I saw Sana at the end of the hall with Advocate Haddi, laughing in a quiet way that did not reach her eyes. Ryan stood beside them holding a folder. The safe feeling slipped away. I sat on a hard wooden bench and spread my evidence on my lap. The copy shop receipt. Screenshots of the email that I signed. The camera clip from last night, where Sana said, "Use my email. Send it as her. I'll keep her busy." My hands kept smoothing the same page over and over. My phone buzzed. Umar, my father's driver, texted, "Madame, I am sorry. They told me not to get involved or I will lose my job." I wanted to cry at that, but the tears burned and stayed where they were. Sana walked over with a paper cup of water like she was kind. She held it out. "Drink," she said softly. "You get headaches when you don't." Her eyes looked warm. Her mouth was careful and closed. "You don't have to fight me," she added. "There is a stipend on the table. Take it. Go stay with Auntie for a month. Breathe." She made it sound like love. I took the cup and set it beside me without drinking. "You forged Dad," I said. My voice shook. I hated that it shook. "You sent a renunciation in my name. You put me out of my home." She sighed like I was a child. "You keep saying my," she said. "But these things were never safe in your hands. You gamble with the feelings and with money. I am fixing the mess you would make." She brushed a piece of dust off my shoulder, then smiled as if she cared. It made me want to scream. "Case Rahim versus Rahim," a bailiff called. We went in. The courtroom was small. A judge sat high, behind a desk with files stacked left and right. He looked at us over his glasses. "Temporary orders today," he said. "Limited scope. I will not try the whole family drama in one morning." Hardy stood first. His voice was soft and measured. "Your Honor, this is about safety and stability," he said. "My client, Doctor, Sana Rahim, is caring for her grieving mother and handling estate tasks after the sudden passing of her father. The respondent has made threats, attempted to access funds, and created a hostile environment. We submit sworn statements." He handed papers to the clerk and gave me a small nod like a tutor who expected the student to fail. He turned a page. "We have a recording of the respondent saying, and I quote, 'I will write it back with fire,'" he said. He looked at me with sorrow in his eyes. "This is not about metaphor. This is about fear." He placed his hand over his heart and sat. I stood and felt my knees go weak, but my voice came out steady. "Your Honor, that sentence is taken out of context," I said. "They have a recording from our own kitchen camera that shows Dr. Rahim telling a notary to send a form in my name. I have it here." I held up my phone and the receipt. "I have proof." The judge raised a hand. "Phone's down," he said. "This is a protection hearing. I cannot take unauthenticated video on a phone. Probate issues go to probate. Today is about whether there is a need for distance while things settle." He looked tired, like he had said this 100 times. Sana stepped to the stand. Hardy asked gentle questions like a friend. "Did you feel afraid last night?" he asked. "Yes," she said in a small voice. "My sister said she would take what comes next." She used the word fire. "My mother is fragile. I'm a doctor, but I'm also a daughter. I'm scared for Mum." She twisted her ring and looked down. It was a careful performance, and it was good. My mother was called. She held the rail with both hands. "I don't want them to fight," she said. Her voice was thin. She shouted. She slammed the door. I was afraid something would break. She looked at me with apology and confusion. She is my child, she said, nodding at me, then at Sana. They both are. The judge thanked her and told her to sit. Ryan took the stand next. He did not look at me. Did the respondent block your path? Hadi asked. Yes, he said. She grabbed my arm and said I would regret this. I have a bruise. He rolled up his sleeve. There was a faint mark. I had brushed past him in the hall when I went to the study. I remembered his hand on my shoulder before that. The shame hit me so fast I could taste it, but anger stood on top of it. I was allowed to speak. I have a receipt from the print shop, I said. I have an email that shows the clinic IP. I have a video. Please look at it. They will sell the East Land in 2 weeks. They moved money this morning. They are using the court to freeze me out and take everything. The judge rubbed his temple. Ma'am, I'm not blind, he said. I can hear there is more here, but a 30-minute hearing is not a trial. I am going to extend the order for 30 days, grant occupancy to the petitioner, and set a compliance check in 2 weeks. No contact except through counsel. No entering the property. You can collect belongings with an officer. Take your probate concerns to the right courtroom. Something inside me cracked. The sound was not loud. It was private. I nodded because my legs would have buckled if I didn't. The bailiff handed me a copy of the order. The black letters blurred. I swallowed and forced them to sharpen. 30 days. 200 meters. No texts. No calls. My chest rose and fell too fast. Outside, I went to the women's restroom and locked myself in a stall. I pressed my forehead to the cool metal and let the tears come. No one said my name. No one knocked to ask if I was okay. I cried there the way people cry when they are tired of being brave. I dug my nails into my palms until the pain steadied me. When I was done, I wiped my face with rough paper and looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were red, but my mouth was set. I stepped back into the hall. My aunt waited with her arms open. Come, she said. Don't make this worse. Stay with me. Don't talk to the press. Don't post. Sign the stipend and keep quiet. She lowered her voice. You can get more later if you behave. She smiled like she was helping. Hadi stood near the exit, speaking softly to Sana. He glanced at me and gave that same gentle nod, like he wished I would choose the easy path. Send me an address for the supervised pickup, he said. We'll be reasonable. Sana touched my arm as I passed. You don't need to be the storm, she whispered. Let me be the roof. I pulled away and walked toward the doors. Ryan followed. Please, he said close behind me. Don't burn your life for pride. You can still be okay. I turned on him. How much did you get this morning? I asked. He blinked. What? He said, all innocence. What are you talking about? My phone rang before I could answer. A number I didn't know. I picked up. Miss. Rahim? A woman said. This is fraud prevention from Union First Bank. We're confirming a wire from the estate account at 6:12 a.m., 150,000 to Rayan Holdings, LLC. The memo says consulting. Because Mr. Rahim's old policy requires 2 contacts for large transactions, your number is still on file. Shall we mark this as approved by the executor? I stared at Rayan. His face went white, then pink. Yes, he said, stepping closer. Tell them... I hit speaker and kept my eyes on his. No, I said into the phone. Do not mark it. Please flag it. The estate is under dispute. Send me the confirmation of this call. The woman paused. We'll freeze pending review. she said. Email sent. The line clicked. Sana reached for Ryan's arm. We'll fix it, she said through her teeth, the kind voice gone. It's a misunderstanding. Hadi spoke fast, low, like he was putting out a small fire. It's within the executor's rights, he said. We can explain. It's normal to pay vendors. Vendors? I asked. My voice was steady now. I held up my phone as the email arrived. Subject: fraud alert. Case opened. Under it, the freeze notice. Under that, a PDF attachment with the wire details. Rayon's company name, his company bank, his signature image pulled from a rental lease we both knew. He had used that same signature when he moved into my building 2 years ago. My stomach turned. Rayon tried to smile. It's a standard consulting fee, he said. I guided the sale. Everyone gets paid. He lifted his palms like this was normal. You know how this works. Everyone? I asked. Or just you? I looked at Sana. For a second, something like fear flickered in her eyes. Then she put her smile back on. Don't do this in the hallway, she whispered. You look unwell. I took a step back, so I could see all three of them, Sana, Hadi, Ryan, with the court door behind them and the glass exit in front of me. My voice did not shake anymore. You stood there and told a judge I was a risk, I said. You said I was the storm. But I am the forecast. I am the warning you ignored. Hadi opened his mouth. I raised a hand. Save it, I said. I slid the fraud email to my lawyer inbox and then to an investigator I found last night when I could not sleep. I hit record on my phone and held it at my side where they could all see the red dot. This is the last time you speak to me without one of us swearing under oath. Sana's smile cracked for real then. Just a hairline line. But I saw it. Ryan reached for me and stopped himself, like he had touched a live wire. My aunt looked between us, confused, afraid of the mess. I opened the door to the street. Cold air hit my face. I turned back one last time. You got the judge to silence me, I said quietly. But the bank just gave me a voice. Rayan whispered my name. I didn't answer. I let the door swing shut and walked into the light. Silence should have felt safe, but it didn't. The room I rented for the night was clean and small, the kind of place where no one knows your name, and the lights buzz a little. I sat on the edge of the bed with the court order in my lap and my father's cracked watch in my hand. Outside, traffic moved like a slow river. Inside, my breath sounded too loud. I told myself to rest. Sleep did not come. It felt like the house I grew up in had thrown me out and locked every window. The quiet pressed on my chest until it hurt. I laid everything on the bedspread. The copy shop receipt, the fraud alert email, photos of the forged signature, the notice that said I had renounced my rights, the camera clip where Sana told the notary to use my email. I lined the pages like soldiers and stared at them until my eyes burned. I turned the watch over again. My father had always joked that the crack told a story. I slid my thumbnail under the back plate and pushed. It clicked open with a small sound that felt like a door in a long hallway. A thin strip of paper lay folded inside. Not words. Numbers. A unit number. A gate code. A name for a storage facility I knew on the other side of town. My heartbeat changed. I called a ride and shoved the papers back into my bag. In the elevator, I pressed the button with more force than needed. The doors slid shut. My hands would not stop shaking, but it was not fear. It was a new thing. It felt like a match catching. At the storage office, a young clerk with tired eyes asked for my ID. We need a secondary contact to confirm, she said, scanning the code. Her tone was polite, but I heard the training in it. She lifted the phone. We always call whoever's on file. I held my breath. If she dialed Sana, this would end here. She read the name and paused. Secondary contact. Tirahim, she said, frowning. No number. She looked up at me. Old system, she added, half smiling. We moved to the new one last year. She handed me a rusted key. Unit F14, she said. Be careful. The latches stick. I walked down a long row of doors that all looked the same. Dust hung in the air. The fluorescent lights hummed. The key turned with a stubborn twist. Inside, the unit was small and neat. One rolling suitcase, a metal file box, a blanket it folded like my mother's hands. I knelt on the cold floor and tried the key in the file box. It fit. The lid opened with a soft groan. On top sat a blue folder labeled in my father's careful block letters. Family Trust. My lungs forgot how to work for a second. Beneath it lay a thumb drive, taped to a plain envelope. I opened the folder first. The document was thick and dense, but the first page was simple enough. The Rahim Family Living Trust. Settler, Tariq Rahim. Trustee, my name. Successor, trustee, my name again. Dated 2 months before, long before his last hospital week. Attached was a doctor's letter certifying temporary incapacity as of 3 weeks ago. The signature was from his own, physician. The line that mattered most was short and sharp. All property listed in Schedule A is titled to the trust. My hands flew to the back pages. Schedule A listed the house and the East Land by parcel number. There was also a small account at Union First Bank marked Trust Reserve. I let out a sound that was almost a laugh and almost a cry. He had already moved the house. He had already tied the land to the trust. Sana's late-night deed was a trick done on property she did not own. If the county had a record of this, her stamp was smoke. I slid the thumb drive into my bag and took photos of every page, front and back. Then I opened the envelope. Inside was a short letter in my father's handwriting, the kind with strong loops and a careful slant. If you're reading this, I waited too long to say it out loud. It began. You are better at heart work than your sister. She is better at numbers. I feared putting either of you alone in charge. The trust keeps us honest. Do not sell the Eastland. It is memory and future. If they push you, go quiet and go straight to paper. Paper is how this world listens. My throat closed. I folded the letter and slid it against my skin inside my jacket. In the office, the clerk glanced up as I passed. All good? She asked. I nodded. Thank you, I said, and meant it. Outside, the sky was pale and empty. I called a ride to the public library. My fingers could not move fast enough on the keyboard. I searched the county recorder's website and typed my father's name. A list of document numbers appeared. I clicked one dated 2 months ago. Grant deed, Rahim, Tariq to Rahim, Family Living Trust. Instrument number and book/page stamped in clean black text. I took screenshots, printed the page, and held it like a shield. I searched again and found last night's deed to Sana. It was there too, but now I knew it was a deed from the wrong owner, written after the trust owned the house. My breath came slow, and even for the first time in days. I took the trust papers to a quiet corner and plugged the thumb drive into a library computer. A single audio file sat there. I put on the cheap headphones and pressed play. My father's voice filled my ears, warm and tired. If this is you, then I didn't do this well enough while alive, he said. Sana will act fast because she always does. Rayan will think short because he always does. Hadi is polite, which can be dangerous. Use the trust. Use dates. Do not shout. People trust quiet paper more than loud truth. I covered my mouth with my hand to keep any sound from getting out. When the file ended, I copied it to my email, my drive, and a new USB I bought from the vending machine. I called Union First Bank and asked for the trust department. A woman named Farah answered. Her voice was brisk and kind. I gave her the account number from Schedule A. She placed me on hold, came back, and asked for the trust name again. We have a dormant trust account under that name, she said. It's linked to a property tax escrow that paid through June. My stomach clenched. Can I activate as trustee? I asked. Our executive is out, she said. But email a trustee certificate with the trust's first page, the signature page, and Schedule A. Include the doctor's incapacity letter. If it matches our records, we can escalate. She paused. Estate and trust may have overlap. If so, we'll lock anything in conflict until a judge tells us otherwise. I typed so fast my fingers cramped. I scanned the pages and sent them with a short note. Urgent. Trustee activation. Conflicting deed recorded last night. I attached the recorder screenshots. I stared at the sent checkmark until it calmed me. My phone buzzed. It was the private investigator I had messaged last night. Quick update, he said. I can't take your case. Conflict of interest. His tone had the fake regret of a bad waiter. Who hired you? I asked. He laughed like we were friends. Come on, he said. You know how this goes. The line went dead. 2 minutes later, my aunt texted, Beta, where are you? Come eat. Don't be stubborn. I set the phone face down and let my anger cool until it was sharp, not hot. I took the contract for the Eastland from my bag and called the buyer's number printed at the bottom. A man answered with the smooth voice of someone who wears suits even at home. Development office, he said. I gave my name and said the property was held in a living trust. Executor can't sell what the settler already moved, I said. If you try to close, you're buying a lawsuit, not land. He didn't rattle. We rely on recorded deeds and title reports, he said. If the trust deed is real, title will find it. I told him the instrument number. There was a pause, a chair, creak, typing. Huh, he said. He didn't sound happy. We'll pause until we hear from counsel. His tone changed, got colder. If we're being played, we'll sue whoever signed. He hung up. 5 minutes later, an email popped up from a paralegal at the developer's firm to Hadi with Msii. Notice of potential cloud on title, it read. Deed 2 months prior to trust. Last night's transfer flagged. Provide assurance within 24 hours or escrow will suspend. I stared at the line CC County Council like it was a sunrise. I forwarded it to Farah at the bank. I printed a short notice of trust claim with the recorder's details and walked to the county office. The clerk behind the glass slid a form toward me and didn't smile. File it, she said. Then file your Ellie's pendants if you're suing. Her nails were bright red and chipped. You're not the first family to fight in here, she added without pity. You won't be the last? I signed and paid. The stamp hit the paper with a heavy sound. It felt like a nail in wood. When I stepped back onto the sidewalk, my phone vibrated with a new email from the bank. Received. Trust verified. Effective immediately. We are restricting transactions related to any Schedule A. Property until internal review. Please provide counsel information. I closed my eyes and let the wind cool my face. The quiet around me changed shape. It wasn't empty anymore. It held weight. Another message came a beat later. This time from Hedy. "We need to talk," it said. "You are creating complications. Let's find a practical solution before misunderstandings damage everyone." I almost laughed. Practical. That was their favorite word when they wanted me to give up. A final message slid onto the screen. It was from Sana. No greeting, no emoji. Just one line. "How did you find it?" I looked at my father's watch in my palm and felt the crack under my thumb. I typed back, "He left it where you never look, inside the quiet." Then I hit send and spoke the last words into the empty air, like a promise I meant to keep. "You didn't steal the house," I said. "You stole paper." The house never moved. The day looked calm on purpose, like it wanted to make me doubt what I knew. The sky was clear. The air felt light. I sat in a borrowed blazer on a bus bench with my father's cracked watch in my fist, and the court order folded in my bag. People walked past with coffee and easy faces. I breathed in, slow, and told myself not to trust the quiet. It had teeth. At the bank, Farah met me in a small glass room. She wore a simple scarf and sharp eyes. "We verified the trust deed," she said, sliding a letter across the table. "Schedule A includes the house and East Land. We've restricted any transfers tied to those parcels until a judge tells us otherwise." My hand shook as I signed the trustee certificate. "Thank you," I said, and meant every piece of it. "One more thing," she added. "Use paper." Not drama. I almost smiled. "That's the plan." I walked out and called the hospital's compliance office from the sidewalk. A man named Imran spoke in a steady voice that sounded like rules. I told him about the clinic IP used to send the renunciation under my name. I offered to email the screenshots and the timestamps. He listened without making it personal. "Send it," he said. "If there was misuse of clinic systems, we will open a case." I can't tell you more than that. When I hung up, my chest felt tight and strong at the same time. My phone buzzed. "Ryan, can we talk?" "Just us." I stared at the words. Another message. "I can help you. Please, I chose a public cafe near the station. Far from the house, far from the clinic." He arrived with a clean shave and a smile that looked tired. He slid into the booth across from me and tried to catch my eyes with the old, soft way. "You look good," he said. "Strong." I set my phone on the table face up. The red light on the recorder was small and steady. He noticed. He lifted both hands. "Okay," he said, half laughing. "On record." "I don't care." He leaned forward. "Sana dug a hole she didn't plan for," he whispered. "She needs the land. Sail fast." Hedy promised the buyer smooth title. He said the trust was a story you'd tell, not a thing you could prove. My jaw clenched. "And your wire?" I asked. His face twitched. "Finder's fee," he said. I made introductions. They were going to pay me after closing, but then Hedy said better to do it now, before your noise. I slid a printout of the wire in front of him and tapped the freeze stamp Farah's team had put on it. The sound was small and mean. "You wanted easy money," I said. "You used my name to make it look clean." He flinched, then tried to smile again like that could erase what he'd already said. "Listen," he whispered. "I can flip. I'll testify. I'll give you texts. Just don't burn me to the ground." He sat back and spread his hands. "Be practical." I left him there with the coffee untouched and the recorder still glowing. On the bus, I took a photo of Farah's letter, the trust deed page, the county recorder printout, and my trustee certificate and sent them to the developer's paralegal with a short line, "Trust owns title. Any deed from settler after transfer is void. Notice attached." 10 minutes later, they replied, "Escrow suspended pending resolution." I breathed out. My hands stopped shaking. I could feel the armor start to build around me, thin at first but real. By afternoon, Sana's clinic held a small donor event in a hotel ballroom. She would speak about care and stability. Hattie would stand near the stage in a soft suit. My aunt would kiss cheeks and whisper. The invite had been everywhere that week. I wasn't invited, but I didn't need to be. The order kept me 200 meters from the house, not from a public room. I wore my grandmother's ring and my mother's old shawl like they were a flag. I printed copies of everything and placed them in a plain folder. The weight of it steadied me. I stood at the back of the room. White tablecloths, gold chairs, the kind of polite laughter that hides as much as it shares. Sana stood on, stage with a calm face and kind voice, the necklace bright at her throat. "Grief needs structure," she said, holding the microphone like a doctor holds a tool. "Families need steady hands. We set up new systems for my mother's care. We've stopped risky decisions. We are safe." Her smile was soft enough to make strangers clap. Hattie took the mic for a moment and laid out careful words. "There has been confusion," he said. "Online talk. We won't add heat to a hard time. We will add order." He didn't look at me, but he knew I was there. I saw his jaw tighten when he put the mic down. When they opened the floor for questions, I raised my hand. For a second, Sana's eyes widened. Then she smoothed her face, like a sheet on a bed. "Go ahead," she said. My voice carried by itself. "As trustee of the Rahim Family Trust," I said, "I have a question. Will you explain why you signed a deed from someone who no longer owned the house?" A rustle went through the room. I kept my voice even. "The house moved to the trust 2 months before your late-night transfer. The recorder filed it. The bank recognized it this morning." Hattie stepped forward with the careful smile of a man who has cleaned up many messes. "This is not the place," he said gently. "We can resolve private paperwork in private rooms." I opened the folder and held up Farah's letter. "Paper is the place," I said. "This is what you listen to." I saw 2 men in suits near the back glance at each other. One lifted his phone. Their badges caught the light. County Council. My heart kicked and stayed steady. A woman in a navy blazer approached the stage and gave Hardy an envelope. "Notice of potential fraud referral," she said, not loud but clear. "From the recorder's office." She handed a second envelope to Sana. "And a hold notice from the hospital compliance team regarding your clinic admin access, pending review." The room went quiet the way rooms do, when people pretend to keep eating. Sana's smile did not break. She lifted the mic with a gentle hand. "Friends," she said. "In grief, families say things that hurt. They try to win. I will not answer anger with anger." She turned toward me. "Come talk to me after. Let's not make this a show." Her voice was warm enough to fool a stranger. It almost fooled me. I stepped closer to the aisle and kept my hands still. "It's already a show," I said. "You made it, 1, when you filed a false renunciation with my name. When you told a notary, use my email. She won't check. When you wired money to Rayan before any sale." I lifted the county printout. "You love the word practical. Here is practical." Rayan pushed through the side door, late and flushed, pulling at his collar. His eyes darted from Sana to me to the men in the back. He started toward the stage and then stopped like he had hit a glass wall. Hadi whispered something sharp to him, and his face went white. He took one shaky step back. A process server I had hired with my last clean rupees appeared at the dark bars, edge of the stage, small and fast. "Dr. Rahim?" she said. "For you." She handed Sana a manila envelope, then turned to Hadi and gave him one too. "Notice of trust claim. Demand to vacate trust property. Demand to return keys. Filed today." Her voice was a blade wrapped in paper. The room breathed in as one body. Sana opened her envelope with a steady hand and skimmed, then looked up with eyes that were no longer kind. She held the mic close. "You're proud of this," she said, soft but sharp. "You wear it like armor, but armor is heavy." She turned her face to the crowd again, her smile back, her voice sweet. "I will carry it for my family until a judge takes it off me." I took my phone from my pocket and pressed play on a short clip. My father's voice filled the space, warm and tired from the little thumb drive he left for me. "Use the trust. Use dates. Do not shout," he said. It lasted 4 seconds. 4 seconds was all I needed. I stopped it. No one moved. I met Sana's eyes. "You taught me to smile while I bleed," I said. "You taught me to say practical while you cut." I lifted the folder and pressed it against my chest. "Now I wear what you chose. The order, the stamp, the deed, the lies. I wear them like armor, and I will walk straight through you with it." Hadi reached for the mic. I spoke first. "One last thing," I said calm. "The buyer froze escrow. The bank froze flows. The hospital froze your access. This is not a storm. This is winter." I let the words hang, then gave the mic back to the usher. Ryan took a step toward me, lips parting like he had a plan to save his own skin. Before he could speak, one of the county lawyers raised a hand. "Dr. Rahim," he called from the back. "Our office requests a meeting now." He looked at me next. "Trustee, we'll want your documents." His tone was clean and final. Sana's smile finally cracked. Not much, but enough to show what sat under it. She lowered the mic, and for the first time since this began, she did not know what to say. I turned away, the folder warm against my palms, the watch cold on my wrist. The quiet did not bite anymore. It held me up. The morning looked harmless, like a scene that didn't know what was coming. Sunlight hit the bus stop glass and made it glow. A child laughed somewhere behind me. For a second, I felt almost steady. Then my phone lit up with my aunt's status. A table set in our dining room, flowers in jars, a caption in glitter font. "Family brunch," to announce the date. The photo stung. The court order said I had to stay away from the house, so I stood on the far end of the street, beyond the line, and watched delivery vans roll up the hill like nothing had changed. I gripped my father's cracked watch and opened the files on my phone. Farah's letter from the bank, the county recorder printout showing the trust deed, the escrow suspension email, the compliance hold from the hospital. I sent copies to the caterer, the furniture rental company, and the florist with a short note. Owner is the Rahim Family Trust. Insurance for events revoked. Bank has frozen payments tied to the property pending review. Proceed at your risk. I did not add threats. Paper did the work. The florist van slowed next to the gate. The driver read something on his phone and sighed. He called, listened, then pulled away without unloading a single stem. A minute later, the furniture truck hesitated, then turned the other way. The caterer's van kept going, maybe telling himself emails were just noise. 5 minutes later, he stopped too. He made a call and started to shake his head. From the driveway, Sana walked out in a white dress that moved when the wind did. She waved the caterer inside with a calm hand, then turned and saw me down the hill. She lifted her chin and smiled like a teacher who would allow a bad student to sit in the back. She called out without shouting, letting the word ride the air to me. "Be kind, sister. Come eat if you can behave." Her voice sounded soft, but it wanted to win. I didn't move. I texted the caterer instead. Policy number RA1132, cancelled by owner, trust. No coverage for hot food events. Call your broker. He checked. His face fell. He drove away, with his jaw tight. Rayan came outside next, tie loose, phone in his hand, the same half-sweet smile he used when he'd done something wrong. He lifted a hand to me, like we were friends on a normal day. My phone buzzed at the same time. A bank alert. Fraud case, open on Rayan Holdings, LLC. Account frozen pending review. I forwarded it to him without a word. He stared at the screen, color draining, then looked up and tried to laugh. It didn't land. Hadi appeared near the door with a neutral face. He stepped off the porch and walked halfway down the driveway, stopping short of the boundary like he measured it in his head. "You are making this ugly," he said, soft and regretful, as if I had dropped paint on a carpet. "Let me fix the language for the developer. Then we'll all move on. Practical people don't set fires to prove a point. Practical people don't sign deeds from the wrong owner," I said. I kept my hands. "Still, you knew the trust deed existed. You chose speed over truth." He blinked. It was quick, but I saw it. A car pulled up behind me and parked. 2 men with county badges stepped out and started toward the house, their eyes skimming the porch, the door, the roofline like it was a scene they'd walked into before. Inside the gate, my mother stood behind the glass. Her hand rested on the pane. She looked at me like a person at a window in a storm. Sana went to her, touched her shoulder and kissed her hair in a way that would look kind in a picture. Then she turned and said to me, "You're frightening her. Is that what you want? To win, no matter who breaks?" The county men reached the driveway. One showed his ID to Hadi. "Preservation notice," he said. "Recorder's office referred potential document conflict. Until a judge sorts it, any change to structure or use is paused. No large gatherings advertise as fundraising or promotional events on this parcel." He handed an envelope to Sana when she stepped over. She took it with a smooth hand, eyes bright. "We're eating as a family," she said. "That's not a large gathering." Her smile did not falter. It rarely did. Another email hit my inbox from the hospital. Administrative leave effective immediately pending investigation into misuse of clinic systems. Access disabled. Do not represent clinic in public events. I forwarded it to Sana without comment. She glanced at her phone, then slid it face down on the porch rail and lifted her chin higher. "This is petty," she called to me. "You turned grief into paperwork." "Dad turned grief into paperwork," I said. "I'm just using it." My voice stayed even. It felt new and strong in my mouth. A car I didn't recognize pulled up and parked fast. A woman in blue scrubs got out with a light bag and a steady gait. "Home health nurse," she told the county men. "Scheduled by the trustee for Mrs. Rahim." She said it without warmth, without fight. Just a fact. They checked her. ID, checked my documents, then waved her through the gate. Sana stepped in front of her. "We have a doctor in the family," Sana said, polite but flat. The nurse didn't blink. "You're on leave, doctor?" "Rahim," she said, not unkind. "I'm here to help your mother take her meds and to document any stress." It was a hard sentence wrapped in gentle tape. Sana held her smile in place, then moved aside. The nurse went in. My mother's mouth moved. I couldn't hear what she said. I saw her hand lift. I felt my throat tighten, and then settle. On the porch, my aunt started calling people. I could hear her voice float across the yard. "Different plan, Beta? We'll meet at the hotel." Yes. Very soon." She glanced at me like she wanted to cut me with her eyes, and then hugged Sana with both arms. "You're doing right," she said loud on purpose. "Some people don't know how to be family." Rayan came down the steps toward me, forgetting the line, forgetting the order. One of the county men raised a hand, and he stopped, swallowing hard. "Please," he said to me, voice rough. "Let me make this right. I'll give you everything. Texts, emails. The prenup draft, Hadi had me review. He promised me a share of the clinic if I backed Sana on the land. He said no one would look at dates. He said trust deeds were theatre. The words poured out of him, like he'd been holding them in his mouth too long. "Send it all," I said. He pulled out his phone and typed, with shaking fingers. A second later, my screen lit up with a PDF, post-nuptial agreement, draft. I opened it and scrolled. There it was in black and white. If married, Rayan to receive a 20% share of any sale from East Land for advisory services. My anger didn't spike this time. It cooled and set. I forwarded the draft to the county council address on the card and to Farah at the bank. Then I sent it to Hadi with a single line. Conflict noted. Withdraw. Hadi read it, read the subject, and kept his face smooth. But his jaw worked once. Hard, Sana stepped forward to the edge of the steps, ignoring the men who had come to watch. She looked down the hill at me and spoke like she was explaining something simple to a patient. "You can stop now," she said. "You've made your point. You have hurt me. You have embarrassed me. You have scared our mother. The land sale will find another path. The house will remain with me until the order ends. You cannot live on paper. I am not living on paper," I said. "I am living in the future. Dad built on paper because he knew we would end up here." I lifted my phone. "And your future, the one you put on a calendar and in a glitter font, already belongs to those dates and stamps." Her smile stayed, but she pressed her lips together like something inside her wanted out. She nodded once like a doctor giving a hard diagnosis. "You will get tired," she said. "You always do. You burn hot, and then you go out." She looked at Rayan, then at Hadi, then back at me. "I don't go out." An SUV rolled up to the curb where I stood. The door opened, and Farah stepped out with a messenger bag and a steady walk. She greeted the county men, then spoke loud enough for the porch to hear. "Notice to parties," she said, reading from a letter. "Union First Bank has placed a trustee control hold on all transactions tied to the Rahim Family Trust's Schedule A assets. Any disbursement, escrow, or transfer requires trustee approval." She looked at Sana and lifted the second page. "Additionally, per our investigation, any prior disbursements tied to the land will be reviewed for clawback. We will be in touch with Counsel Hadi," took a breath to speak. Farah handed him a copy and turned to me. "You'll need counsel listed by the end of day," she said. "I already sent you names." Her eyes flicked to the porch. Don't engage here. She got back into the SUV. The engine hummed. The message was delivered. Silence fell in the space between us. Not empty silence, heavy silence. Sana looked at the nurse, through the window, then at my mother, then at me. She lifted her phone finally and checked the screen. Her face changed by a small degree, only I would see. The hospital email, the bank hold, the county notice, the prenup draft I had just forwarded to everyone. She spoke to me without raising her voice. You took today, she said. But I still have tomorrow. I stepped back from the line and let the watch sit cool against my wrist. You walked into tomorrow, I said, and found my name already there. I held up my phone so the county men, Hadi, Ryan, and my aunt, could all see the subject line of the new email that had just arrived. It read, Order to show cause why temporary occupancy should not be vacated. I met Sana's eyes and said the last line like a door closing. Next time you open this house, it might be for me. The city woke up like it didn't know what today was. The sky was clean. Cars moved in steady lines. I stood outside the courthouse with my father's cracked watch on my wrist and the folder pressed to my chest. For a second, I felt almost calm. Then the door opened and Sana walked out of a black car in a pale suit. Chin high, smile small. Hadi walked beside her, quiet and neat. Ryan came last, eyes on his phone like he was hiding inside it. The calm slid off me. Inside, I found a seat and set out my papers. Trust deed, bank hold letter, hospital email, escrow freeze. The court clerk called our case. Order to show cause, temporary occupancy. We stood. I could hear my heart in my ears, heavy and even. I told myself to speak like paper, not fire. Hadi started. He sounded sorry, like this was sad and he wanted to help. Your Honor, nothing has changed since the last hearing, he said. My client, doctor? Sana Rahim is protecting her mother and the home. The respondent has made threats, interfered with vendors and tried to embarrass the family in public. We ask to keep the current order for peace. The judge looked at me. Your turn, he said. I stepped forward and kept my voice steady. Your Honor, everything has changed, I said. I held up the first page. 2 months ago, my father recorded a deed moving the house and East Land into the Rahim Family Trust. I'm the trustee. Last week, after he was declared incapacitated, a new deed to my sister was filed from the wrong owner. The bank has locked all transactions tied to the trust. Escrow on the land is suspended. The hospital has placed my sister on leave while they check how her clinic email was used to file a renunciation in my name. County Council issued a preservation notice on the property. The judge's eyes moved from page to page. Do you have dates? He asked. Yes, I said. I read them one by one. Trust deed recorded June 3rd. Doctor's letter of incapacity, 3 weeks ago. Late night deed to my sister, the night before last. Renunciation filed at 9:56 p.m. From the clinic IP bank lock yesterday morning. Escrow suspension yesterday afternoon. Hospital hold last night. County preservation notice. This morning, Hadi tried to cut in, hands open like he was teaching. Even if the trust exists, Your Honor, occupancy is separate, he said. We still need order in the home while probate and trust issues are sorted. My client is the only medical professional in the family. A woman stood up from the second row. She wore a navy blazer and a county badge. Your Honor, she said. County Council filed a declaration. We verified the trust deed and dates. We recommend vacating the prior occupancy order and appointing the trustee to manage the premises, with conditions to protect the mother. The judge nodded and turned to the witness list. We'll hear briefly, he said. The home health nurse stepped up first. Her voice was simple and calm. Mrs. Rahim's blood pressure has been unstable, she said. Crowds and conflict raise it. Yesterday, she did better when visits were limited and meds were on time. She glanced at me. The trustee arranged my schedule and provided the care plan. That helped, Rayan was called. He stared at the floor. Hadi's mouth tightened, but he didn't stop it. Did you receive money from any sale or planned sale of the land? The judge asked. Rayan's jaw worked. A wire was sent to my company, he said. For advising. The bank froze it. He swallowed. There is also a draft agreement promising me a share if the marriage goes forward. The room made a small sound like a breath. Hadi rubbed his temple. Sana took the stand last. She folded her hands like prayer. Your Honor, my sister is angry, she said. She is using paper like knives. She frightened our vendors and shamed our family. I am trying to keep our mother safe. Her voice almost broke on safe. She met my eyes for a second, and the look was real. Tired, hurt, stubborn. Then the wall came back. The judge leaned back. He looked at the dates again. He looked at the county lawyer. He looked at me. Here's what we're going to do, he said. The temporary occupancy I ordered was based on an incomplete picture. It is vacated as of now. The trustee will have control of the premises pending further order. No transfers, no sales, no large events. The mother's care plan continues with the nurse in charge of medications and schedule. All parties will stay 200 meters apart, unless a supervised visit is arranged through counsel. Return all keys to the trustee. Before leaving the courtroom, Hadi started to speak. The judge raised a hand. You can file for reconsideration, he said. You can appeal. Not today. Today is about control and care. Sana did not move. Her fingers closed once around the ring she wore. Then she took the keys from her bag and set them on the table in front of me. The metal touched the wood with a soft sound that felt louder than any shout. Ryan stared at the keys, like they might burn him. My aunt made a small sound behind us and hid it with a cough. We stepped into the hall. Hadi walked over, voice low. Don't make a scene at the house, he said. Move with dignity. Your mother is watching. For once, I agreed with him. We'll move with paper, I said. A deputy met us at the curb. We'll supervise re-entry, he said. His tone was plain. No drama. He drove behind my bus to the street I had not walked in days. The gate was open. The preservation notice hung by one staple. The nurse unlocked the door from inside. My mother sat in her chair with a blanket on her knees, eyes on the window like she had been waiting for a weather change. I walked in first. I put the trust letter on the mantel and the bank notice on the table. I placed the recorder camera on the shelf where it had always watched us. I took a breath that went all the way down. Hi, Mom, I said softly. We're going to keep things quiet now. Sana stood by the stairs, face careful. You won a day, she said. Don't break it with gloating. She sounded like a doctor giving a discharge. Controlled, tired, still in charge by habit. My aunt hovered near the kitchen, phone buzzing with messages that would not fix anything. Rain stayed close to the doorway like the house had learned his name and didn't want it. The deputy waited by the hall, eyes on us, body still. Keys, please, he said to everyone. Hadi handed over a ring with 2 spares that did not belong to him. Sana gave up the small brass one from the hook by the pantry. Ryan patted his pockets and then pulled a key from his wallet like a magician admitting the trick. The deputy passed them to me. The weight was not heavy. It felt right. I called the locksmith I had cued on my phone and stood on the porch while he worked. The drill whined, metal turned, old locks came out. New locks went in. I kept my voice steady and asked him to label each key with a room name. He did it with a marker that squeaked. While we waited, the nurse brought my mother her noon pills and a cup of water. My mother looked from the cup to my face. "No fighting?" she asked, voice small. "No crowds," I said. "Just tea later." She nodded and closed her eyes like that alone took work. Hadi walked toward the door. "We'll coordinate through council," he said to me. His calm had a crack in it now. "You can still make this easy. A settlement, a stipend, an apology for the public moments." I shook my head. "No more stipends," I said. "No more hush money. If your client wants to stay in this house for an hour after today, she signs a guest agreement with the nurse. She follows the schedule. She does not touch the safe, the accounts, or the mail. She does not call vendors. She does not move a chair without asking the trustee. Practical enough?" Sana let out a short, surprised laugh. It had no joy in it. "You sound like me," she said. "Rules, rules, rules. I learned from you," I said. "And from Dad." The locksmith handed me the new set. The deputy watched as I tested each lock, the front door, the study, the garage, the small safe behind the bookcase. Everything turned for me and not for her. I wrote my name on the key tag for the front door. Trustee. I kept my handwriting slow and clean so I wouldn't shake. Sana walked to the mantel. Her hand hovered over the trust notice like she wanted to tear it and knew she couldn't. "You think this is over?" she asked softly. "It isn't. Paper can cut both ways." "I know," I said. "But today it's cutting for me." Ryan stepped forward, eyes wet in a way I had never seen on him. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'll send more." He looked at Sana like he wanted forgiveness from 2 directions at once. It made him look small. My aunt started to speak and then stopped when the nurse lifted a hand for quiet. For once, everyone obeyed. I walked to the cupboard above the fridge and took down the old camera. I checked the cloud sink and then faced the room. "One more thing," I said. "The renunciation you filed with my name? I filed a criminal complaint this morning. The notary and the e-signature company have the IP logs. They're cooperating. If you want to talk about public moments, we can do it under oath." Hadi's face changed in a way I had not seen before. Fear, maybe. Anger, maybe. Calculation, for sure. He nodded once, sharp. "We'll be in touch," he said, and left without shaking hands. Sana stood very still. The pale suit made her look like a statue that had learned to breathe. "Say it," she said finally. "Say the thing you came here to say." I looked at her, then at my mother, then at the room that had raised us. I let the words be simple. "You thought this was yours," I said. "Today you learned it never was." She smiled, small and tight. "Enjoy your day," she said. "We'll see who owns tomorrow." I opened the front door for her and pointed to the new sign I'd taped beside the frame. The deputy read it first and did not hide his smile. It said, "Trust, property, entry by permission." Only Sana's eyes flicked over the line. For the first time, her smile didn't arrive. She stepped past me without another word. I closed the door, turned the new lock, and let the click be the only sound. The house was quiet in a way that felt wrong, like it was waiting for something I might not like. My mother napped with the nurse beside her chair. Sunlight slid over the floor and made the dust look soft. I held my father's cracked watch and tried to breathe slow. Then my phone buzzed with a new message from my aunt. A flyer with gold letters. Brunch and announcement. The Tariq Foundation, hosted by Dr. Sana Rahim. And a photo of our dining room, set with flowers that were never delivered. The event location was a hotel ballroom at noon. I felt my stomach tighten. She wasn't giving up. She was moving the stage. I called the hotel and asked for the event manager. "Is the payment verified for the Rahim event?" I asked. She paused. "Card on file." Awaiting final charge, I emailed her Farah's bank letter and the county preservation notice that named the house and any use of it for public fundraising. Then I added one more file. A screenshot from the corporate registry I had pulled at dawn that showed a new non-profit created yesterday, the Tariq Foundation, with Sana as chair and Hadi as secretary. The timestamp was still warm. "If you process this," I wrote, "you'll be part of a fraud investigation." Within minutes, the manager replied, "Holding charges. We will require counsel letters from both sides." I sent Farah's number. I put on a plain black dress and my grandmother's ring. The watch sat cool on my wrist. The crown she wanted wasn't gold. It was a microphone and a room full of people who believed her voice was the safe one. If she wore it today, it would settle on her head. I could not let that happen. At the ballroom, workers moved chairs like they were on a timer. The backdrop said stability, care, future, in clean white text. Sana stood near the stage in a pale suit that made her look like justice with lip gloss. Hadi spoke to the hotel manager with a calm face and careful hands. Rayan scrolled his phone by the door, jaw tight, eyes darting. My aunt floated between tables, kissing cheeks and whispering, "So proud." So strong I walked up to the manager before anyone could block me. "You've seen the trust letter?" I asked. She nodded once, nervous. "Our legal team is on," she said. I set a thin folder on the registration table. Inside were copies of the trust deed, the bank hold, the hospital's leave email, the escrow freeze, and the county notice. On top, I placed a short letter I had written at dawn. "As trustee, I object to any fundraising in my father's name that is not authorized by the trust. Donors risk loss. Vendors risk non-payment." Attachments included the woman swallowed. "We'll pause doors for 10 minutes, she said. She lifted a hand. Staff stopped moving. Sana saw me and came over with a smile that would look warm in photos. "You look tired," she said softly. "I wish you would rest. Come sit with Mom later. Don't turn this into a battle. People came to honor him." She tilted her head. "Be kind." I kept my voice even. "This foundation was formed yesterday," I said. "You're on leave." Hadi registered it without the trust. "You want to raise money into an account that the bank will claw back. That isn't honor. That's hunger." My hands didn't shake. It surprised me. Hadi stepped in with the same gentle tone he always used. "Let's not embarrass the family," he said. "We can say the foundation partners with the trust. We can draft a memorandum. Practical people make bridges. Practical people don't use a clinic email to sign a renunciation in my name at 9:56 p.m., I said. Practical people don't sign a deed from a man who didn't own the house anymore. I slid a copy of the registry printout across the table. Practical people don't backdate their crowns. Rayan walked over, voice low, eyes tired. "We can still fix this," he said to me. "Let the donors in. We'll route funds later. Just don't blow this up." He said it like I was the bomb, and he was trying to hold his hand steady. The hotel manager returned with a clipboard and 2 men in navy blazers. "We can't open until council clears," she said. "County council is on their way." Her voice was apologetic but firm. My aunt gasped like a woman in a play. "Are you happy?" she asked me. "You want to ruin a memorial?" "This isn't a memorial," I said. "It's a money plan in a dress." I glanced toward the door. A small group of donors had started to gather. They looked confused. They looked ready to be told which side was love and which side was noise. Sana lifted her chin and went for the stage anyway. She took the microphone with a steady hand and a calm breath. "Friends," she said, voice warm and full, "we are under attack by confusion and grief. I will not respond with anger. I will respond with action." She gestured toward a screen behind her. Slides popped up with clean charts, projected meals, bedside nurses, medication grants. It was a strong performance. She had built it to fit her. That was her crown. A list that made her sound like safety. I stepped forward before the charm could harden. "Please," I called to the manager. "Let me say a few words. Then you can lock the doors, if you want." She looked at me, then at the men in blazers, then at the donors who were starting to murmur. 2 minutes, she said. I took the second microphone. The sound of my own breath came back at me through the speakers. I remembered my father's short audio on the thumb drive. Use the trust. Use dates. Do not shout. And I held on to those words. My name is the one on the trust, I said. 2 months ago, my father moved the house and land into it. Yesterday, a new deed tried to take the house from a man who no longer owned it. Last night, an email from a clinic sent a renunciation in my name. This morning, the bank froze transfers tied to the trust. County Council issued a preservation notice. The hospital placed someone on leave. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to read the dates. I held up the first page with the instrument number and date in black. A donor in the front row leaned forward to see. Another took a photo. The men in blazers whispered to the manager. Had he moved to take the mic? I stepped back so he could try. Confusion, he said smoothly, is a kind of theft. It steals time. Let's not let it steal today. The trust may exist. The foundation exists too. We can be partners. We can honor both daughters. Our office will ensure compliance. Before he could go on, a new email slid onto the registration laptop with a soft ping. The manager read the subject and looked up, eyes wide. Chargeback notice, she said, voice thin. From the bank. Any payment to the foundation account will be reversed pending review. The donor's murmur changed. Money hates risk. Ryan swore under his breath and pulled at his tie. Sana's smile did not break, but the skin at her jaw tightened. You're proud of this, she said to me in a voice just low enough for the front row to hear. You found a way to feel like him. Responsible, important. I found his dates, I said. That's all. The ballroom doors swung open. 2 county lawyers walked in with folders, followed by Farah from the bank. Behind them, the hospital compliance officer from yesterday stepped in. Expression clean and empty. The room drew a breath and held it. The county lawyer spoke first. Notice to parties, he said. Use of the name Tariq Foundation is frozen pending clarification of rights. No fundraising tied to trust property or founder's likeness may proceed without trustee approval. He handed Sana a paper, then Hadi, then the hotel manager. Farah stepped to the mic next. Union First Bank has placed the foundation merchant account under review, she said. No disbursements. No settlements. Donors will not be charged today. She looked at the donors and gave them a firm nod, like a teacher telling a class to put their pencils down. Sana took the mic back with a steady hand. You came to help, she said to the donors. You came for my father. My sister hates that, so she wants to make this a courtroom. I won't let her. She lifted a palm toward me, like she was blessing a fight to stop. I am still a doctor. I am still the one who sits by our mother's bed. I know what care looks like. I stepped close enough to see the small line at the corner of her mouth, where her smile fought to stay. Care is not taking a fee through your fiancé for a sale that can't happen, I said. Care is not filing my name without me. Care is not making a crown out of someone else's grief. I turned to the donors and held up the last page in my folder. My father's short note from the storage unit. The one where he wrote, "Do not sell the East Land. It is memory and future. If they push you, go quiet and go straight to paper." Rayan blurted it out before he could stop himself, panic finally cutting through his charm. She promised me 20% from the land, he said to the donors. It was just paper. Issa wasn't real yet. The words echoed, ugly and raw. Hadi closed his eyes like his head hurt. The hospital officer lifted her own letter. Dr. Rahim, she said, you're not authorized to represent the clinic at public events. Please leave the stage. Her tone was calm. It didn't need volume. It had the weight of a form that already existed. Sana looked at me for a long second. In her eyes, I saw more than anger. I saw tired love for our mother. I saw pride that could not bend. I saw the part of her that believed control was the same as care. She lowered the mic. You want this? She said, voice quiet. Take it. Wear it. See how heavy it is. I didn't move. It is heavy, I said. But it fits me better. I turned toward the donors. There will be a real memorial through the trust. Simple. Open. No tickets. No speeches that ask you to pick a side. If you still want to help, help my mother. Help pay for nurses. Help build the small library Dad planned for the neighborhood. We will publish every receipt. The room was very still. Then, from the back, a woman raised her hand. Send us the trust link, she said. Others nodded. Phones came out. People typed. The hotel manager closed the registration laptop and slid the clipboard under the table. Event cancelled, she said, almost to herself. Per council. Sana stood on the stage with the microphone at her side and a smile that had nowhere left to go. Hadi touched her elbow, a small gesture that said many things. Sorry later, fight again. Rayan stared at the floor like it might open. I slipped my father's watch under my sleeve and put my grandmother's ring flat against the paper so it would stop shaking. I looked at my sister and said the last line low, like a promise and a warning. Crowns fall when dates don't. The street looked calm, like the city forgot what we did yesterday. A soft wind moved the leaves. The nurse brewed tea in our kitchen. My mother slept without trouble for once. Still, the air in the hall felt tight, like a door I hadn't opened yet. A courier rang the bell. He handed me a thick envelope and a pen. My hand shook as I signed. I didn't know why until I saw the first page. Preliminary injunction. Granted. The order named the trust. It named me. It barred any sale, transfer or fundraising in my father's name without trustee approval. It froze the Tariq Foundation account. It set a hearing date and asked for keys, records, passwords. The judge's signature sat heavy at the bottom. I let out a breath that hurt on the way out. Another email hit my phone while I was still reading. County Recorder. Deed filed 2 nights ago, void on its face, pending adjudication due to prior trust conveyance. List pendants recorded a third message, arrived right under it. Hospital compliance. Findings. Clinic email access used to submit renunciation from non-permitted device. Access disabled. Internal hearing scheduled. My chest felt hot and cold at once. I looked at my father's cracked watch and touched the line across the glass. "Okay," I whispered. "Okay." I put the order in a folder and called a car. At the curb, the nurse touched my sleeve. "You need food," she said. I smiled without feeling it. "After?" I said. "When it's quiet." We met in Hadi's lobby because he chose neutral carpets and glass walls. He stood by the elevator with a smile that wanted to look tired and kind. Sana was beside him, in a dark suit that looked like armor. Ryan leaned on a pillar, eyes red, phone in his hand like a cigarette he didn't smoke. I set my folder on a low table and sat. My voice came out steady. "We're done playing in hallways," I said. "Here's the order." Hadi took the papers and read fast. For the first time since this began, his face changed. Just a flicker. He covered it with a smooth nod. "For now," he said. "We'll answer. We'll correct tone." He held the order like it was a menu he didn't like. Sana didn't look at the judge's name. She looked at me. "You have time now," she said softly. "Does it make you happy? All these stamps?" Her mouth almost smiled. "You could have had peace. You wanted a crown. I wanted my father's dates," I said. "The rest happened by itself." Rayan pushed off the pillar and came closer. "I sent you everything," he blurted, like he was confessing to a priest. "Emails. The draft with the 20%. Voice notes. Don't drag me too." He swallowed. "I'll testify. I'll say who told me to move the money early." He didn't look at Sana when he said it. He looked at the floor. 2 people from the bank walked in with Vara. She greeted the receptionist like she had been here 100 times and then turned to us. "We received the order," she said. "Executor privileges over schedule. A assets are suspended. Foundation merchant account is frozen. Any disbursement made. Since the death will be reviewed for clawback," her eyes went to Rayan for half a second. He blinked like a man in bright light. A woman with a county badge stepped out of the elevator and handed Hadi an envelope. "Notice of inquiry," she said. "Bar liaison would like to speak about the deed and the renunciation." It was polite. It was a wall. Hadi's jaw moved once, hard. "My office will cooperate," he said. It sounded like a thing he had practiced in other cases. Then he turned to Sana, lowered his voice and said, "We should step back and regroup." She did not step anywhere. Sana took one slow breath and faced me again. The fake kindness was gone. What stayed was sharp and real. "What do you want?" she asked. "Say it without your paper. Say it to me I didn't move. Return everything you took," I said. "Every password. Every key, every vendor contact. Stop using his name. Stop sending letters with his letterhead. Stop speaking for the clinic until you're hearing. And you tell Mom yourself today that you lied. Not with tears. With truth." She tilted her head like she was reading a scan. "And after I do your list," she asked, "do I get to sit in the house for an hour Without your shadow in the doorway? Do I get to help our mother take her pills? You get a schedule, I said. Signed by the nurse. Like everyone else. Her lip twitched. You turn me into a visitor, she said. It wasn't a question. It wasn't a complaint either. It was a cut. The elevator opened again. 2 investigators in plain coats looked around and walked straight to Ryan. Mr. Kadir, one asked. We have some questions about a wire labelled consulting. Voluntary, if you like. We can also do this with a warrant. He looked at me without interest. He looked at Hadi once. Hadi held up his palms. Not my client, he said flat. Ryan's face crumpled, then smoothed. I'll come, he said too quick. He glanced at Sana like a dog glancing at the person who never fed it. Right. I'll tell them you planned the timing, he said, voice thin. It came out like a last scrape of pride. He followed the men into the elevator without looking back. Silence held the lobby for a moment. Someone's phone buzzed. Someone else coughed. Farah closed her folder. Final item, she said to Sana. Personal accounts used for foundation staging will be reviewed for reversal. If trust funds touch them, please send counsel. We'll wait for the hearing. She nodded at me and left with her colleague, like people who had other houses to fix. Hadi checked his watch. We'll be in touch, he said. And then to Sana. No statements. No calls. No posts. He gave me a formal nod I hadn't earned yet and walked away toward the elevators. It was just the 2 of us then, like when we were girls and the lights went out during storms. Sana stared at the order. She tapped the judge's name with 1 nail. You think this ends me, she said. But it ends you too. This. She lifted the papers. Eats time, money, sleep. You will become what you hate. The person who checks locks and emails and lists until the sun rises on nothing. I already was that person, I said. The difference is, now it counts. She gave a small laugh that had no joy in it. You always wanted to be good, she said. Now you get to be right instead. She handed me a slim black notebook. Passwords, she said. Vendor lists. The safe inventory. Before you accuse me of being decent, understand that I'm protecting myself. If I don't put this in your hand, I become the story you want me to be. I took the notebook. The pages felt warm from her palm. You wrote the story, I said. You chose the plot. And you chose to be the editor, she said. Fine. She looked toward the glass doors. I'm going to see Mom. She waited for me to say no. I didn't. 15 minutes, I said. Nurse in the room, no phone. We rode back in separate cars. I walked into the house and set the injunction on the mantel where the fake deed had sat. The nurse met me with a clipboard. Vitals okay, she said. Meds at 2. Your mother wants silence and a hand to hold. Not sure in what order Sana entered a minute later. She sat by our mother's chair and took her hand without crying. I made a mess, she said. Her voice was low and flat. She fixed it for now. Our mother looked at me like she was trying to see 2 things at once. No fighting, she whispered. Tea later. Sana nodded. Tea later, she said. And for the first time in weeks, it sounded like a possible thing. I waited in the hall with the nurse and read the notebook page by page. Vendor names, clinic login, notary portal. 2 lines circled hard. City print and copy 7:32 p.m. And under it, 9:56 p.m. renunciation sent. Evidence written by the hand that did it. I took photos and slid the book back into my folder. 15 minutes became 20. I stepped into the doorway. Sana kissed Mom's hair and stood. Time, I said. She nodded and followed me, down the hall. At the front door, she stopped and looked around the room like she was trying to memorize it before a long trip. You think I'm empty now? She said, chin high. You leave me with nothing. I leave you with me, I said. Even when I'm not here. I pointed to the small black camera on the shelf, the nurse's schedule on the wall, the sign by the door, trust property, entry by permission only. This is my shadow. It will stand where I can't. It will ask for dates when you offer charm. It will say no when you say please. She smiled then, small and sharp. You learnt my language, she said. You turned it against me. I learned to translate it, I said. That's all. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She checked it and went still. She didn't show me the screen, but I saw the hospital logo glow and fade. Internal hearing moved up, she said, voice even. They always move fast when they smell blood. She slid the phone away and reached for the handle. Wait, I said. She turned, surprised. I took off my grandmother's ring and put it in her palm. Her breath caught. It was mine by tradition, I said. It was yours on your finger. It should be Mom's for now. Bring it back at tea. I closed her hand over it. Don't make me lock the door on this too. Her eyes filled and then cleared. You still want me to be someone better, she said. Not mocking, just tired. That's cruel. It's the only kindness I have left, I said. She stepped outside. The sun caught her hair. For a second, she looked like the sister I used to follow down our street in summer. Then the doorframe cut the light between us. I turned the new deadbolt. The click was soft and final. In the quiet, I set the notebook on the mantel beside the order and the trust letter. I made tea for Mom and the nurse and carried it in on a tray. My phone buzzed again. A new message. County Council. Foundation name reserved for trust. Please provide logo files if any exist. Another from Farah. Clawback. Begun. I didn't smile. I didn't cheer. I just poured. Later, when the house was dim and the nurse hummed in the kitchen, I stood in the hall where the light made a long dark line on the floor. I thought about crowns and keys and paper and blood. I thought about the girl I was when this started, and the woman I had to be now. I opened the door and looked at the empty step. The air outside felt clean and light again. I didn't chase her down the walk. I didn't watch her turn the corner. I closed the door and left my shadow to do the rest.